Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Do Nothing, Still Create Negative Karma with subtitles Tsem. So I was looking through his channel to see which video I'd like to react to, and this is something that I remember having a little bit of an issue about when I think Sadhguru was talking about it. Now, so let me go ahead and I guess say what those questions kind of are. So, for example, if you're just laying in bed, do you generate negative karma? When you sleeping, do you generate negative karma? Because do nothing still create negative karma. And then I guess another example would be like if there's someone begging for food or something, and you yourself are struggling to eat or afford your rent. By you not giving that person food, do you generate negative karma? Now, this was earlier on in me reacting to these videos. I've come up with, I believe, an answer. Now, I need more reinforcements. I don't know what the right word to say, but more people saying yes or no to that. So, in terms of just laying in bed and doing nothing, do you generate negative karma? Yes, you can. And the way I understood it from Sadhguru's book of karma is the fact that the reason and karma is a bit different in terms of, well, it seems different from this book, but it's similar and also a little bit different. So what I mean by that, in terms of you just laying in bed and generating negative karma, and why are you generating negative karma while laying in bed? Because you're probably remembering bad times in the past. You're replaying in your head all the bad things that happen in your life, things that you've done bad, and that is generating negative karma. And the way I understood this particular part of karma is that it's not necessarily that karma number 100, karma number 101, karma number 102. It's not that the karma is increasing, but more along the lines that you are suffering from your action. So, what you're doing is you're remembering things that you regret in the past and suffering now because of it. Kind of like how karma kind of works, because anything you do in the past, from the from I think what most people understand karma to be is that when you do something bad in the past, it'll come back in the future, and you'll suffer for it. So, in some sense, this is a little bit like that karma, as in you are sitting there in bed suffering from something that you did in the past. Um, so that's how I believe you can suffer karma, negative karma from doing nothing. I mean, you're not technically doing nothing, but you're not, moving or anything. Now about the feeding, like say, someone's begging for food and say that you can't, you're struggling to even feed yourself. You're literally skipping meals just so you can have a house to stay in, and you don't have any money. Do you generate negative karma? And this one probably, because again, you could look at it as like, you regret not having money to give to this person. You start suffering again. Same thing, like you go lay down in bed and you start remember. It's like, I wish I had more money that I could give this person some food or something, but I'm struggling myself. So you suffer for that in terms of just suffering then. But now generating negative karma, which you'll suffer later on, like in the next life or something. And I'd say yes to that too, because you're not doing good. Now that to me seems very unfair. But anyways, I don't know if I'm necessarily correct in any of those, but that's how I understood it so far. And that's why I kind of wish I had more people talk about how karma is generated, what generates good and bad karma in a lot of situations. Lakhani did a great example where he talked about this. I think he actually, I think this happened in real life. I'm not sure, But he said he wanted to go, or he saw this family, or he wanted to talk to this family that were rich, that were well off. And then, when he was being invited inside, they opened the gate and let him in. And then some kids came by begging for money or for food. And the rich people was like, "Shoo, go away!" And they closed the gate on the kids that are starving, homeless in the street. And Lakhani was telling about that. It's like, that's he was explaining the fact that to the crowd that that's still negative karma. Well, he asked the person, it's like, why are you doing that? It's like, the reason why I'm rich right now is because I generated a lot of good karma, and the reason why they're poor right now is because they generated a lot of bad karma. And Lakhani was talking about how essentially you're always generating karma. And in order to generate good karma, you must do good things. If people are suffering and you can help them, you should help them. But if you deny helping them because they're in a bad situation, you think because they have developed bad karma, you are now generating bad karma for yourself as well. So you're going to be in their situation soon because you're constantly denying them help when you are capable of helping them. That's another way of looking at karma in terms of like where the people say, "I'll just keep to myself and generate good karma and not interfere with people who deserve what they've gotten in this lifetime." Anyways, too much of that talk. Let's go ahead and get started.
When you're exposed to unnatural elements all the time, then you are looking at long-term dangerous diseases, cysts, what are they called? Growths, cancers, headaches, migraines, all that will come out. Why do they come out? When I was growing up in Howell, New Jersey, back in the 70s, I've never heard of one single person in our neighborhood, in the school, or anywhere having cancer. Not one single person.
I will say this though. You can't, just because you didn't hear about it doesn't necessarily mean it didn't happen. I don't know how well the technology was in the past in the 70s in terms of detecting cancer. And I can't remember, again, I don't know my history all too well, but I think during the 60s and 70s they also had a new disease, I believe, that cropped up. Oh, let me look it up, this one. So, and it didn't know much about it, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't there. Uh, Here we go. Okay, so I was talking about AIDS. The first reported cases of AIDS in the United States were in 1981. So, whenever they had this sexual revolution or whatever, people just started having sex with everyone. And just because you haven't heard about anyone having it doesn't mean that people didn't have it. Now, his area could very well have no cancer. That's very plausible. I don't know what the rate or percentage of the population has cancer, especially if you talk about like a country. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt that it's probably more common today than it was in the past, especially during the 70s. But again, I just want to make sure that, just because you didn't hear about it or know about it, that doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't none in that area.
I've never heard of anyone growing up having cancer. And if you did hear about cancer, it's on the news, somewhere far in some city like New York or somewhere far. Like this famous person has some kind of cancer. Even then, it was very rare to hear. Very, very, very rare to hear that. So these days, I get requests for people to do prayers all the time, and it's always something to do with cancer. So you have to remember something. Why is cancer on the rise? Cancer is on the rise is because our body is expelling or cannot handle all the toxins that are going inside. Think of your apartments in a city. It's all cement. It's not natural earth. It's not natural mud. It's not natural grass. It's not natural, breathable, biodegradable products that are healthy for you. It's not like the cities people lived in 200-300 years ago, where, even if it's a city, it's still built from natural items. Not so much chemicals, not so much synthetic items. Now when you look at an apartment, you look at a house in the city, it's plastic that are not degradable. These plastics can go into the ocean, can go into earth for hundreds of years. They will never degrade. They will never melt because it's just chemicals. live in is all cement. The air that you breathe in is all air conditioning. All right. Um, the car you sit in is all chemicals. Everything, from the dashboard to your steering wheel to the seat you sit on to the actual body of the car, the engine, and also the fumes it creates. It's all just total 100% poison. And that's what we expose ourselves to. And then we say to ourselves, oh, it's really fun in the city. I'm really having a great time in the city. You know, I can go out, I can go to the gym. What's the point if you're showering, washing, living, breathing, touching toxins all day long, and then you go to the gym? Doesn't make sense. What can the gym do for you? There's so many people that are skinny and fit, thin, or fit, or whatever. They have cancer, they die. You guys don't get the messages I get. I get a lot of messages.
I'll say this though about that. I seem to be pushing back a little bit on Sem here. Sure, cancer is one type of issue that the human body can have. Overweight, what else? Heart disease, lung disease, brain disease, freaking any kind of diseases, or what do you call it? Worms, or rabies, or anything can get to you. Not just cancer. Just because all this stuff may contribute to you getting cancer. There's a little bit of a joke and about in California, essentially, that if it has a chance of producing cancer, no matter how insignificant it is, you must label that it has a chance of producing cancer. So essentially, everything has this label that says known to is known to potentially cause cancer in the state of California or something like that, because anything, even water, probably has a chance of causing you cancer because there's just even a tiny minuscule amount. It's a bit ridiculous, but anyways, but it's just not about cancer that you have to worry about. A health concern, if you getting you not just not moving around, you'll your muscles will atrophy. What else? You're not eating healthy. You could be really skinny and still be extremely unhealthy. Those people are, what do you call those? Anyways, I can't remember. They because they think they're so fat, even though they're literally bones, they will barely eat anything because they think they're so fat. Then I mean, obviously, then you have, of course, people who are overweight who eat way too much and who put a lot. I mean, being overweight alone puts a lot of stress in your body, and that's another way of dying. That will probably kill you faster than cancer. Again, that doesn't mean why even bother. Obviously, you want to try to, I don't know, live a healthy life reasonably. If you're trying to stop every way of dying, you will not be living life. But again, I just want to point out that don't, just because you might get cancer, but yeah, you might have cancer, but you'll live to 97. It's like, so what's the point of doing anything? No, 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 no. Don't think that way. Again, this is your body. You have to take care of it. Are you going to get cancer? Maybe. Seems like there's a very good chance of it. But does that mean should you give up of doing what you want to do? No. If you want to be like, there are other things out there that will probably kill you quicker than cancer. So don't give up. So exercise if you do that. If you want to remain healthy and in a fit shape, do that. There are people. This is some crazy things where you have people out there who smoke like 12 packs of cigarettes every day, and they're 102 years old. It's like, what the heck? What? There are fit people out there who die very young, but that doesn't mean that you just give up hope. No, but those are the extreme cases, mind you. And this is the thing that kind of sticks out in our minds: these extreme, ridiculous cases. I remember looking at a video about like the oldest people alive or something like that, or however old they've gotten. There's this one lady that's 106 years old that drinks Dr. Pepper every single day, like two or three cans a day. It's crazy. I'm like, that's not normal. Again, you don't know how long you're gonna live or die, but by ignoring your health, you will die sooner than you should. I'm I don't I just want the people to, realize that.
Private messages from people who are dying or will die or died. That's part of my job to do prayers for them. And one of the biggest causes is cancer. Another one is heart failure. Those are the two. I don't hear much else. I don't hear much else. Once in a while, you get one is old age. The person's very old and things fail. I understand. I mean, if the person's 80, 90, they have cancer, I understand. You know, I understand. But still, when we were growing up, people in the 70s and 80s, 70 years old, 80 years old, you don't hear they have cancer. I've never heard.
Again, you gotta also understand the technology back in that time too. So again, like AIDS wasn't discovered until 1980. Well, at least the first reported case, maybe in the U.S., was 1981. But obviously, it has been going on throughout the entirety of human history. But before it was ever a thing, no one's ever heard about it. So I hope that in the way you think about things is not that just because no one's heard about it, that doesn't mean it didn't exist. You have to understand the limitation of technology during our times. Even today, we could have a disease right now that because of our limited technology in the medical field that we don't know about, and we say, back in 2020, bad time, but we never heard about this disease. So only until now that we heard about this disease back in the 2050, it's the first time we ever heard about the disease. But in 2020, no such diseases. Like, no, this has been going throughout human history. It's just that it has not been discovered because of limited technology or lack of understanding. Medicine is relatively new. It's very, very young. So again, I want people to think for themselves, and you don't have to absolutely believe me. As a matter of fact, don't ever believe me, but just think about what people say and judge for yourself.
Okay, I don't know of one person in our neighborhood, of hundreds of people, in our school friends, who died of cancer. That's when we were growing up. Then we started hearing more about cancer in the 80s, a lot more in the 90s, and now in the 2000s, it's just very common. It's almost like saying, oh, this person has the flu, this person has cancer.
I'm sorry. Whenever you said that, it just made me think of another joke about WebMD, I believe. It's a website where you can type in what your issues are, and it'll tell you what it could be. And one of the jokes is the fact that you could say like I sneezed twice in a row today for the very first time. What is it? And the WebMD will just come and says you have cancer. So essentially, the joke is the fact that no matter what you type up on the WebMD, it's going to come up with cancer. So it's kind of like what he's saying, how you see how more and more cases are coming up reported of cancer, but maybe because our technology has gotten better, we know what to look for, and it's something that we know about it now. As a matter of fact, while I play this, I will look something up.
So where is that coming from? That's coming from your body telling you the environment you live in is poisoning you. The environment you're living in is killing you. So what do you get in the city? You get lights, easy food, easy shopping. You can go out to coffee. You can meet friends and talk, but you got to pay a price. The price will be your body. That will be your body, the price. You see, attachment always has a price. Nothing is for free. So therefore, when we're out in the country, there are a lot of synthetic items still. Many of the rooms we build are synthetic. We're still in air conditioning. Well, I am at least. But it's greatly reduced. It's greatly dispersed. And one thing for sure, the air around here is much, much better. Much, much better. We still have cars, we still have pollutants, but it's not like in the city where that's what you're breathing 24 hours a day. Just think, all the things that's emitted from the cars. If you live in PJ, if you're in Petaling Street area, if you're in Subang, if you're in Cheras, any of those areas, very dense, very congested.
And this is where I can 100% agree with him for sure. It's the fact that what is it? Oh man, he had said something and I just can't believe I forgot. But I 100% agree with him. The sheer fact that in densely populated area, especially when you have a lot of pollution and stuff, Yeah, that is a 100% no-brainer there for sure. I wouldn't doubt that in densely populated area where there's a lot of cars. And luckily enough, I think even in the most modern areas or any car that has a catalytic converter, I believe it removes a lot of it, a lot of the pollutants out of the air. It's not. I don't think it's 100%. I'm not sure again, but it's much better than where I was from. And when I went to go visit my home again, everything is diesel. And oh my gosh, I remember I remember when I got to my home. Luckily enough, there was not a lot of cars where I live. I guess I don't explain very much, but just where I live, it's relatively clean air. But when you start moving a little bit closer towards the major roads, oh, I got a headache, literally a headache, by just breathing the air there, because every single vehicle is diesel, and there's no catalytic converter or anything to reduce that smoke. I don't know if there is one for diesel vehicles, because I think even over here in the United States, diesel are permitted to spew out a little bit of the black smoke or whatever, the exhaust black smoke because it's black. But I think there's a limitation how much that must come out. I'm not sure. I know they're trying to reduce it, but it was really crazy. And I remember being sick just because of that. And it made me realize whenever I did that, it's like, man, how much cleaner the air is in America compared to where I was from. And I don't remember ever being that sick. I guess my body was just used to that much smoke. But then again, I don't think the population at that time was very dense, but it has become extremely dense now. So, anyways, in terms of cancer, so apparently it was discovered in Egypt back about 3000 BC. That was the first case, and I can't really find. Back in 1950s, only doctors could see inside the body. It was with X-rays, and there was no screening test for cancer. Since we see a huge leap in imaging technologies, including medical ultrasound in the 50s and CT, PET, and MRI scans in the 70s. So again, it's just to kind of how to say talk about what its messaging is the fact that you start hearing it more and more in the later stages is because not everyone could afford a CAT scan or PET or MRI because those were new technologies back in the day, and it's very expensive. I'm sure it was experimental equipment. So all of a sudden, when like cell phones, only rich people had them at one point. I remember I was during a transition period when people had beepers. I didn't even have a beeper or a cell phone. But anyways, you had he had this big old cell phone that only lasts 30 minutes, but it was only rich people that have them. And then all of a sudden, now everyone essentially has a cell phone. Then you had plasma TVs and LCD TVs. Now everyone has like six TVs, is essentially. But as technology develops, it becomes cheaper and more people can afford it. So now you can have CT scans, X-rays more easily later on in the years when they first came out. So again, just wanted to say that.
Very, very congested. Every family has two or three cars, and those cars are running all day long. And you're walking, you're breathing all of those fumes into your body. And then you go home, and then you live in your cement rooms, your cement apartments, and all the toxins emitting from the cement, from the ceiling, all that you're breathing, constantly, all the time. So that's the price we have to pay for our attachment to the city. Now,
Now, I don't know what I was going to say here, but I will say this: if you are very much concerned with this, there are air quality devices out there. They'll measure how much particles are in the air. It won't say what it is, but it'll say how much particles is. You could probably find a machine that'll tell you what it is too. But the more expensive it gets, then you can also have air purifiers, which is becoming a thing because of people who are allergic to stuff. What it does, it cleans the air a little bit. So again, you also have that, so you can live in the cities. But mind you, if you go outside, what he says is absolutely right. Again, I don't know how truly bad it is in terms of in America because, like I said, when I went back home compared to here, I don't get sick when I walk outside. There's a lot of cars. Now, mind you, whenever you have those diesel car vehicles, not cars, but just vehicles, they put out pollutant. I don't like that. It makes me doesn't really get me sick too much because it's not all the time. Whereas where I'm from, it is 100% all the time. If you're out in those roads or nearby it, it's not good.
On a superficial, external environmental, external environmental cause, that's what's giving us our diseases and problems and illnesses. But on a deeper, ultimate cause, of course, it's our karma. It's our karma to be born to be attached to the city. It's our karma to be born to be in a fresh air, in a polluted air, in a nice area, not nice area. To have our karma to be born with a body that's susceptible to sickness, susceptible to problems, not susceptible to sickness. We're born in a body that's very strong, not strong. We're born in an environment that we get sick easy, that we don't get sick easy. Ultimately, it is our karma. But you see, karma also plays a very important part where we live and how we think and why we live where we live. So we have to realize that ultimately it's karma. Karma comes from where? Karma comes from our speech. Karma comes from our body. Karma comes from our mind. All right? Now, is it possible for people like you and me to exist without creating negative karma? Even if we're in a room doing nothing the whole day. Pretty difficult. Why? As long as your mind is attached to yourself, I, me, myself, I, Da, Tsem, holding on to the self. As long as you're holding on to the self, even if you're not doing anything physically, you're not saying anything, you're still creating negative karma. The karma is the mind. What karma are you creating? A very subtle I, me, I, me, me. So you're creating that on your own, just sitting there. Otherwise, unless you're a Buddha, we all create karma. So what happens is, when we create this karma, depends on how strong our I is, how strong our selfish mind is, how strong our holding our mind, holding ourselves, the selfish mind is. So why do I say different words? Because people have different understanding. It's the same meaning. I'm just using different words. If you want to use a technical word, it will be holding on to the non-existent I. So I think a lot of people wouldn't understand that. So we just relabel that as selfish mind, holding on to I. Now, when we hold on to the I, whether we like it or not, we create negative karma. All the time.
Oh, that's interesting. Now that is very interesting. Again, that doesn't seem fair. Obviously, I understand that life isn't fair, but again, just to make the statement, and I would love to know a reason as to why. But saying I, me, I don't quite understand why would that be negative karma. Now, if you explain the reasoning why it could be negative karma is because you're being selfish, then I get it, absolutely. You're thinking about yourself and only about yourself. But I mean, kind of like I guess the examples I would think if I'm just locked in a room, I got to think like, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow? Got to clean the clothes. I gotta clean the car. Got to cut the grass. I got to cook some food. These are all I things that I have to do. Is that generating negative karma? Or thinking things like, I could go tomorrow and make more money. I could cheat this person. I could steal from this. I can take from this person. That I can see as negative karma. But I guess I would love to understand why thinking me or I, in what context, I suppose, is that generating negative karma? Because you can think of me as like, what do I have to, like I said a little bit earlier. It's like I could say, I gotta wash my clothes. I have to wash my body. I have to wash my face. I have to cut my hair. I have to trim my nails. I have to cook food. You know, How is that generating negative karma? If anyone want to explain that to me, I am 100% open ears. And if you can explain maybe just a generic word where it says me, and I is generating negative karma as to like why or yeah, exactly. Why is that though? So, anyways, what else? I There was something he said here that I wanted to speak on, which I agreed with him 100%.
So where is that coming from? That's coming from your body telling you the environment you live in is poisoning you. The environment you're living in is killing you. So what do you get in the city? You get lights, easy food, easy shopping,
Oh yeah,
attachment.
this was the next thing that I really want to say. Attachment always has a price, and this is something that Thomas Sowell, not Thomas Sowell, I can't remember who said it, but everything essentially has a price, and I've said this also in the past too, that even breathing has a price. Um, in order for oxygen to produce, trees have to absorb carbon dioxide and do a lot of processing. There's work to be done to produce oxygen. There's work to be done to produce carbon dioxide. There's work to be done for doing anything. There's work to be done you just laying there in your bed doing nothing because your body's still doing work. For you to be alive, your body's doing work. There's a cost to being alive. You have to eat, you have to drink. Whether you eat or drink or not, you still have eaten something to have been alive that long. So I guess a good way is it a good way? I'll say it this way. I guess a good way of looking at it, things in life has a cost. Nothing is truly free. And the sad truth of the matter is, there's a lot of people who think there are free stuff in this world. They want free college and free healthcare and free this and free that, and it's like, no, it's not free. The thing about people who think this way, I think anyway, not all of them, is that they don't understand that they have no issue with it someone else paying for it. I have an issue with that. Don't get me wrong. I understand when people do it out of the kindness of their heart. I think that's amazing. At least in that scenario, you understand where it's coming from. You know who it's coming from, and you can thank them and appreciate them. Anyways, that's going a little bit, a little bit too much into other things. So, anyways, some more actions that do nothing still create negative karma. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.